Now, Brent crude continued to rebound in early trade today, up 1.4% to $69.62 rather, bouncing back from a 2% decline on Friday. Now, renewed hope of an end to the trade disputes between the United States and China is fueling this new surge. Luqman Agboola, an oil and gas analyst, joins me now to give an outlook for oil prices for the next quarter and beyond. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. All right then. Now, clearly, we can actually see oil prices on the pickup, on the rise rather, but we're slightly below $1, just below $70 per barrel. Just try to explain to me what's really playing out on this scene right now.
Okay, just like you have said, the trade dispute between U.S. and China has actually affected the market, both the oil price and other commodities as well as the stock market. Okay. The feelers now is the fact that everybody is saying, look, we've got to resolve whatever the issues are, because if we don't do that, it's going to affect the global economy. The issues between
the U.S. and China.
Exactly. Don't forget that those are the two biggest economies, combined GDP of about 20 trillion, so which is very, very significant. So those feelers are expected to affect the market positively, because don't forget, when the issue started, you could see the response, the market response. And at the end of the day, you could see even the UN coming out to say, look, we can't do this. The global economy is very fragile. We can't afford to start trade disputes now when we are trying to bring back the global economy to the path of growth. And I think everybody is listening, because at the end of the day, it's going to affect everybody.
Now, when we say, the U.S. is saying, is Trump actually saying the same thing? Because, clearly, recently he has actually described the trade agreements as, of course, one-sided to begin with and not in favor of the U.S. Do you see that dispute being resolved in the shortest time?
Well, at the end of the day, what you need to look at is how does it affect all the parties that are involved. U.S. is not in isolation. What Trump is trying to do is to see how much job can be retained in the U.S. But at the end of the day, the question you need to ask yourself is that, are you putting more money in the pockets of the Americans, or are you taking money out of their pockets? So those are the things you need to look at, because at the end of the day, it boils down to standard of living at the end of the day. So if those commodities that are coming out of, China are more competitive, I think that's just the way it is going to go, because at the end of the day, if you insist, it is going to hurt American economy as well. And again, the feeler, again, is that China is also not ready to back down, because they feel, look, we should have been talking about this thing rather than threatening. So at the end of the day, I think the best thing is for, common sense to prevail, so that at the end of the day, the global economy won't suffer.
What's the far-reaching effect, really? Let me even say, what's even the immediate, significance of this on oil prices? Because at the moment, us at least 69 dollars per barrel right now, almost $70 per barrel. My question is, how significant is OPEC's cut and demand really, in relation to the price we're seeing, and of course the dispute between the U.S. and China, which is actually having a greater impact on the price that we're seeing at the moment?
The price we are seeing at the moment is actually kind of a spur. Okay. Again, you don't forget that one of the reasons why prices have to stabilizes the fact that Iran was also coming in with 4 million barrels production. There are chances that the nuclear deal agreement may not be renewed, and there are already rhetorics from both parties, from all the sides, to the effect that if that does not happen, there are going to be consequences. So the market could be responding to that, because the next agreement is due in May, and we're already in April. And, there is a whole lot of activities. The European Union is asking for more sanctions in order to retain U.S. in that agreement. And, Russia and China are saying, we think that agreement is just okay. So if there is a crisis and Iran is out of the market, that's going to be additional 4 million barrels taken out of the market. So that is also going to affect the direction of price. So I think everybody is trying to take position to see what is going to happen at the end of the day. So when you combine these two issues, you could see that there is some level of concern about energy security at the end of the day. So these are the issues that I think are currently fueling the current price.
We're talking about players positioning themselves. Is Nigeria also positioning themselves in terms of the price discussion, or actually dealing more with domestic issues? According to a Shell annual sustainability report, shows that crude oil theft actually rose by 50% in 2017. That's about a loss of about, 9,000 barrels per day. Do you see that recurring here in the country? Now we see oil prices more attractive than it was a couple of years back.
It's disheartening and you know, really frustrating that at the end of the day much has not been achieved in that respect. Of course, again, don't forget that this theft, this crude that has been stolen, is sold at below market price. And again, whichever way you want to look at it, the higher the market price, the higher the attractiveness. You know, so it's just something we just have to find a solution to, because just like you rightly pointed out, chances are that because the price of crude is going up, chances are that theft is also going to increase. I mean,
is it owing to the fact that we actually see forecados running again, or just like we mentioned, the fact that oil prices now are really more attractive? I mean, we have NNPC about to break ground as well, you know, in certain areas in terms of the pipelines leading to the north as well. Do you see that also creeping up with the north? Because clearly it seems we really haven't, you know, taken control of this particular domestic situation, especially when it comes to, of course, energy security in the country.
Correct. Yeah, energy security in the country is a big issue, especially with respect to gas and refined petroleum products. It's good news to hear that credible organizations are going into this. I mean, OISAV and OANDO signing an agreement with the federal government, which is good news. But it goes beyond that. A pipeline is a pipeline. When there is no product, there's no gas in that pipeline, then we've not really achieved much. So the question is, what are we doing to ensure that side by side, just like you rightly said, we can ensure energy security, because you need the gas to pass through those pipelines before you can say you have actually achieved anything. So those are the issues that we also need to look at, because currently gas is a big issue for everybody. So I think in looking at that, which has taken off the NNPC, the cost of building that pipeline, I think the focus and investment should now be directed into gas production, actual gas production. So that is what I think would enhance or support and assist in ensuring energy security.